Hello, it is I. Now if I were to ask you which racing game has the best attention to detail, you'd probably say Gran Turismo or Forza Horizon 5. However, games like The Crew 2 often go under the radar, which is very surprising, because the attention to detail in this game is very impressive. Which is why I'm here with this video. It's around 8 incredible examples of the attention to detail you will find in The Crew 2. Anyways, 4,000 likes is the target as per usual. Wait, hang on a second, that's the wrong color. Yeah, that's more like it. Anyways, without further ado, let's get to this video.
Wavy, smashed, sun comes out, splash.
Now, as you may know, the Crew 2's map is humongous. It is so big. Now you might be thinking, oh, this map's way too big, so it's gonna be lacking a lot of detail. Oh, well, that's where you're wrong. I mean, the level of detail in Las Vegas says it all. I mean, this is just one city in the game, and look at how detailed this city is. Okay, I'm back in Las Vegas during nighttime, and look at how much the city transforms at night. It looks so much better. Okay, now I'm making my way to San Francisco. I'm driving on the Golden Gate Bridge, which is so realistic, and just like that, your boy is in San Francisco, and look at the view. It's so beautiful. Okay, now I'm in Los Angeles, which is the home of supercars like this Lamborghini Murcielago, and I love how dense this city is. And now you join me in Miami, which is one of the most beautiful cities. I cannot drive this car. And we cannot forget about New York, the concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's not really detailed, it's just cities. Oh well, in a map as big as this, look how detailed all the buildings are. You can actually see the interior of the building. Okay, now you might be thinking, oh, that's nothing new, Forza has that already. Oh, well, Forza's map is way smaller, and in my opinion, the parallax interiors in Forza Horizon 5 are nowhere near as detailed as the interiors in The Crew 2. Now, yes, I know there are maps with much more detail in other racing games, but for a map as big as what we have in The Crew 2, you gotta give props to the developers, because this map is very detailed.
Hello, mate. You wanna levitate? Come see the man with the clap.
Now, in most racing games, you don't see the gas pedal, the clutch pedal, or the brake pedal moving. But on motorcycles in The Crew 2, you can actually see all that stuff moving. For example, if I rev the bike, then watch this. Yep, you can actually see her hand revving the bike, which is really cool. Also, if I go to slow down the bike, then watch the handlebars. Yep, she actually grips the brake handlebar to stop the bike, which is really cool. Also, when you're trying to move the bike backwards, then she actually walks the bike, which is pretty realistic. But what's really cool is when you shift gears on this bike, because the left handlebar is the clutch, and then watch this when she shifts. Yep, she presses the clutch when she shifts gears, which is really cool. And the way you shift gears on a bike is with your left feet, and look what happens when you shift gears. Yep, the feet actually moves when you shift gears, which is really realistic. So yep, I find it so cool how the game actually shows the character revving the bike, braking the bike, changing gears on the bike. It's so realistic.
We don't take it slow, full speed till we crash. I took the price of the time.
Now, in most racing games, you can actually pan your camera around the car, but it's very basic. But in The Crew 2, you can actually look up, which is pretty interesting. You can't really do this in most racing games. You can also look down as well at the speedometer, which is pretty interesting as well. You can also look down and left or right. Oh my god, there's literally an analog clock on the dashboard. That is so cool. But do you know what's cooler than that clock over there? The fact that you can actually look backwards and you can actually see the seats in your car. Now that, my friends, is very realistic. You can see all the seats, you can see all the windows. It's so nice. But in Forza, if you look backwards on the cockpit camera angle, then you don't see the seats or the rear window. You basically just get a camera that's facing backwards, which is good to look backwards, but it's not very realistic. So big up The Crew 2 for letting us look around the car and look backwards as well, because that is so cool. It's so realistic.
Scotty, day and night, you can roll with a boy if you play it right.
Now, in most racing games, the cars come in one spec, if you get what I mean. They have the same wheels, they have the same interior. The only thing you can change is the manufacturer paint. But in The Crew 2, you can actually spec cars with manufacturer options, kind of like in Test Drive Unlimited. For example, when you're buying a car, you can actually select the car, and then you can select the paint, and then you can actually change the wheels as well. You can also switch up the interior of the car just like you can in Test Drive Unlimited games. For example, you have all of these colors to choose from, so let's go with something brave like yellow, and you can choose where you want the yellow bits to go. So you can have it as stitches, you can have it on the lumbar support, and then once you select that, you can actually change the material of the fabric as well, which is really cool. And once you selected that, you can actually change the interior insert material. So you can have metal, or you can go with a carbon fiber, or you could go with a piano black. I'm gonna go with a carbon fiber because why not? Honestly, features like this are very rare to come by because the developers don't want to spend a lot of time adding features like this into the game because they don't think the players would really appreciate it. But we actually do appreciate features like this, so big up the crew team for adding this feature because this is really cool.
Forget RD, call me the governor, the gaffer, the big boss buster.
Now, most modern racing games have pretty bad atmosphere, so you can't really tell that there's any life in the game. But Ivory Tower added atmosphere into the crew 2 in various different ways, which are really interesting. First of all, as you can see, pedestrians. There are so many pedestrians that walk all over the map. Secondly, the traffic cars, because if you actually block the traffic cars and look what happens. Yep, they're beeping at me. You would never see that in Forza because if they do that in Forza, then Forza fanboys would... like Forza would have to apologize to the fans. But it's not just the driving traffic cars that add atmosphere, because if you find a parked traffic car and if you crash into it like so, yep, the alarm goes off. Also, another way they added atmosphere into this game, as you can see in the distance, is the animals. Now, yes, I know animals are a thing in other racing games like Forza, but they're way less common in Forza because in the crew 2, you'd see animals. What is that? Is that a fox? Oh, look, it is a fox. That is so cool. Also, whilst I'm flying with a Spitfire, you might actually see some birds on there. Look, there's a bald eagle. That's so cool. Speaking of planes, whilst you're flying your plane, you may actually run into other ambient planes in the sky as well, which is very realistic. So not only is there atmosphere on the ground, but you will also see atmosphere in the sky as well, which is really cool. It's a very nice touch. And then if I turn my plane, I guarantee you I will see another plane somewhere over here as well. Yep, look over here. I found myself another plane. That is so cool. So yep, it's very unique the ways that the crew 2 added atmosphere into this game. So big up the developer. That was so slick. So yeah, big up the crew 2 because the atmosphere in this game is incredible and the attention to detail whilst doing so is very impressive.
Tell me your name. Don't ask for mine. I hate that.
And most racing games have day and night cycles, which is fantastic, but there is no clock, so you don't really get a perspective of the time. For example, right now I can't really tell if it's sunset or sunrise, but you can tell if you go to the cockpit camera angle because this car actually has a clock. As you can see, the clock says 9:57. Okay, now you might be thinking, oh, that clock has nothing to do with the day and night cycle, it's just a random clock. Oh well, right now it's 10:01. Now if I go to photo mode and if I go to the settings and if I go to environment, then you can see that it is 10 PM. So yeah, we actually have a functioning clock in the crew 2, which is fantastic. However, in other open world racing games like Forza Horizon 5, the clock is always stuck at 12 o'clock. I mean, if it's sunrise, it's 12 o'clock. If it's sunset, it's 12 o'clock. If it's nighttime, it's 12 o'clock. If it's daytime, it's 12 o'clock. And yeah, man, the clock just doesn't make any sense in games like Forza Horizon 5. However, in the crew 2, we have a functioning clock, and that makes life so much easier. So big up the crew 2 for actually having a clock in this game because it's a lifesaver, okay? It's a lifesaver.
I like a star. You got an attitude. Would be great. Let me fool you with.
Now, in most racing games, you cannot walk. I mean, obviously you can't walk. It's meant to be a racing game. But in the racing games where you can walk, like TDO2, the walking animation is very stiff and a little bit unrealistic. However, in the crew 2, another racing game where you can actually walk, the walking animation is actually pretty realistic. For example, if I run over here and then if I turn around, it looks very natural. And I find it pretty funny how her facial expression sort of changes when you're walking and then when you're running. She's like, oh, let me concentration mode, and then when she's walking, it's like, oh, let me relax again. So yep, it's quite a small feature, but I just find it so cool how realistic the walking and running animations are in this game. It's so good. But I'm not a fan of how the character is not centered in the middle of the screen. That's a little bit annoying.
Know what rappers do. Now imagine that, but with double the magnitude.
Okay, now this is quite a weird thing to talk about, but have you noticed that in a lot of racing games, some of the cars don't have interiors? However, in the crew 2, we of course have interiors on cars. As you can see, this is very detailed. We also have interiors on bikes in this game. As you can see, I'm in my BMW S1000RR, and the interior is pretty realistic. And now you join me in a boat and look at how detailed the interior is on this boat. It is so look at all of the gauges. It's so cool. Well, that wasn't meant to happen. And believe it or not, we actually have interiors for the planes in this game as well. And look at all of the gauges. The gauges all work. Look at how realistic that is. Also, on this different plane, you can actually see the joystick actually adjusting the pitch of the plane, which is so cool. You can see the throttle being adjusted by the left hand of the character, which is really cool. And if you look at the feet of the character, then you can actually see the rudder pedals moving. That is so detailed. And on a more modern plane like the PC-21, you can actually see the screens working, which is so cool. I mean, look at that. We even have a mini map in the cockpit of the plane, and if I press up, then look at that, it actually extends. That is so cool. So yep, you gotta give props to the developers of this game because the interiors in this game are very realistic. Oh, butter.
Yo dog, if you enjoyed this video, then you might want to watch this video up here, so make sure to give that a watch right now.
I just want to subscribe to my channel, then press this button right here. Thank you very much. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Cheers.